I have constantly said, and we have said on MotorInc, that don't waste your money on the Francs. It just looks cooler than the Baleno. The Baleno is the better machine. And for me, the Baleno is the better car of the two. It doesn't look as cool as the Francs, but I don't see why I should pay a lakh of rupees more for the Francs just because it looks different. Yeah, okay, it's got a few differences in terms of whatever setup and all, but that's not reason enough. The Baleno is plenty good. Okay. I feel this way, but everybody I have told that to, and we've seen this here in office, okay, here at MotorInc, people have gone and picked the Francs nonetheless. We've seen this. Like, for me, it's a very functional and experience-driven decision rather than the aesthetic appeal of the car.
Yeah, but I think also, Karthik, it's an experience thing. And not an experience in the sense of the experience of the product, the experience in the sense of, have you done this for a long time? Right? When I went to town planning school, and in town planning school, one of the first things you do is learn to draft. And to draft, which is like a technical drawing, you have to use a pen called a rotring. So automatically the rotrings were so cool. Because they were difficult to use, they were leaky, they had to be cleaned, and a 0.3 was not the same as a 0.5. And it was a complicated subject, you know, to buy a set and stuff, right? So all the complexity that went into that pen made the pen more special. And you've been using these pens and they're annoying, right? Because there's permanent ink and then it's leaking, then your fingers are black, and then the 0.3 has a little thin wire in it, which is the nib. And that wire will get bent so it won't go into the tube. It's a mess. Okay. I didn't say the word because it's YouTube, but you know the word I just said, right? It's a mess. Because the Stetlers also had brighter colors, for example. And suddenly, like, that's a much cooler looking pen. Whereas the Rotring was this boring maroon old thing. And in hindsight, the Rotring became cool only because it was the first thing we saw. So if you're buying your first machine, first motorcycle, first car, you will naturally gravitate towards something that you like.
Yeah.
It could be an organic shape, it could be a boxy shape, it could be the SUV body style, or it could be the sedan body style or a hatchback body style. It could be a commuter looking thing or a sports bike looking thing. To you, this is more or less an instinctive reaction. Humans don't really have instincts, but it is your nurture and nature, and it's come to humans don't really have instincts. We have compared to animals, for example, we have very few built-in instincts.
Okay, that
right?
way.
So you don't really have an instinctive reaction as much as a reaction that you've been taught to have, and layer upon layer upon layer, and it leads you to a individual
reflexes,
place.
let's say.
Yeah, it's an individual place where you'll say, I like boxy shapes, and somebody will say, no, I like curvy shapes. And somebody will say, I like naked motorcycles. Somebody will say, no, I like them behind a fairing. It's okay. But at this point, this is not an informed decision. You don't know the implications of this decision. You have no idea what the benefit of a SUV really is every single day, what the cons of an SUV are every single day, right? You can think of the fairing as a way to guide heat away from you. Some bikes do it. You can also think of it as a way as to guide heat only to you. Other bikes do that. So you don't know what the heat implication of having the fairing is. You don't know these things.
Yeah.
By the time you get to your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th vehicle, you have a much clearer understanding of what certain things imply. And therefore, at the early stage, and a lot of Indians are at early stage of acquisition, sure, design is super important. If it doesn't look cool, why would you want it?
Yeah.
Right? In theory, you could take an auto rickshaw, put a small air conditioner into it, and you'd basically make the same transit in terms of time and comfort more or less as a basic hatchback. Without the safety consideration and all of that. Let's not confuse the issue. I'm just trying to make a point here. But who wants to be seen in an auto rickshaw? It's not cool.
Right. And the firsts are so important that way.
Yeah.
Most of the guys, I mean, people, especially motorcycles, I feel like my dad had an RE. He had a cast iron, or he had a Java, or he had a RX, or whatever. And that sense of connection is carried through the machine to your past, to your family. And therefore you desire those vehicles again in the future. Is that a logical thing? No, it's not. Do you put up with stuff which is not great today because of that connection? Yes, all the freaking time. I think it's something I've heard. No, I want that only because that's what I rode with my dad. You know, I did this trip with it back then. So those emotional connects also make decisions for you today.
Yeah, and it's totally irrational at that point of time. Look, if you look at a wall can be used to keep things out, and a wall can keep you in. It can do both of those jobs depending on where you are and what you decide to do with that wall, right? It's the same thing. And for what he just said, we have the opposites also, right? Bought an RE, had a cast iron, vibrated so much, broke so many things that today I cannot countenance the idea of an RE. There's one person in my office who said something like this to me right in the morning today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wants a cast iron.
He says, I have had a Royal Enfield Himalayan 411. I rode the 452. I see what they've done. I want no part of this brand. मुझे करना ही नहीं है. I have suffered so much with my 411
Oh.
that you cannot convince me to buy this bike.
Oh.
Can you not see the movement? Yes, I can. Can you not see the improvement? Of course I can. But will you then not consider buying this? No. I am never buying a Royal Enfield again. As much as people will say, I had a cast iron, I had this, I had that, I love them, I'll buy a Royal Enfield again.
Oh,
Both sides exist, and both of these are not rational decisions.
Correct.
These are 100% emotional lines in the sand people are drawing for themselves.
Right.
And to me, I bought my first machine on the basis of fast. Right? The Kinetic Honda being the exception because it was the only thing you could get on wheels first. Like rational solution. Dad said, no bikes. Okay, we'll get a scooter. What was the first thing I bought? The fastest thing I could buy for the money.
RD, no?
The KB125.
Acha, KB.
Right?
Okay.
And the KB was purchased for what design? No. Did I understand what Bajaj and Kawasaki working together meant for quality? No. Did I not understand enough to say the RX100 would probably be the better and safer purchase? Probably. But it was also slightly beyond my budget. What I really wanted was the Shogun. Why? Because it was even faster. Did I know who TVS was?
Correct.
No, I didn't. I didn't know what TVS and Suzuki represented. Right? So I wanted the fastest thing I could get. And I've always been, I want the fastest thing I can get guy. Right? But this whole thing is emotion.
Yeah.
Consider this your invitation to like, share, and subscribe. Try the main MotorInc channel too. Lots more content there just for you.